Hey, Chris Sorensen here with PRMG. This is something the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES, is something that is on the forefront of everybody's mind right now, especially because of the forbearance. It's having major ramifications and a major ripple effect at every aspect of our business. If you're trading mortgage-backed securities, you're like, all right, well now, how do I measure how many people are going to be applying? I mean, we had, as Barry was pointing out, we've had 10 million people file for unemployment just in the last 8 days. You now have traders who are saying, what's this value? What's the value of my mortgage-backed security instrument? And so rates are all across the board. Companies are all over the place as far as where their FICO scores are going to be and how they're going to be handling this on a go-forward basis, at least on the short term. And now compounding all this, as I said, is the fact that consumers are being told, rightly so, that if you are in trouble, you need to contact your servicer and then ask for forbearance. So let's talk about that. What is that? So I'm going to keep this brief and at a very high level because I'm hoping this can be shared with a consumer, and I don't want to get into the weeds where they're going to tune out and say, I don't understand what he's talking about. The bottom line is this. Even the CFPB says on their website, if you can make your payment, make your payment. This is only for those people who have been impacted, and in my humble opinion, that means you have lost your job or have had a reduction in hours and your income has been reduced, and you no longer can afford to make your payment. In that case, yes, take advantage of obviously what the government is telling Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA and VA and USDA, the people actually that buy the loans, and go to your servicer and say, I need help. What's the servicer going to do? Well, according to the law, the statute is they need to give you at least a 6-month forbearance, meaning you can skip your payments for 6 months. And if you're still in trouble, you can ask for another up to 6 months. But what happens to those payments that you don't make? Do they just get forgiven or disappear? No. And do they automatically, without request or modification of your existing promissory note, do they automatically get put on the back end of the loan? For example, if you have a 30-year loan and you skip 6 payments, do you now have a 30-year and a half loan? No. So here's what happens typically. If you skip 3 payments, on the 4th payment, you need to make up the previous 3 plus the 4th. That in and of itself creates a major hardship. Let's think about this logically for a moment. As I said this on a video yesterday or a Facebook Live, most people buy at or above their means. And because they do that, even if they become gainfully employed making the same money that they were making before, it's going to be very difficult for them, if they already had a hardship and they were out of work, to all of a sudden on the 4th month, 5th month, 6th month, whatever it is, to come up with all the back payments. So logic dictates that they will then need to do a modification. Now the government says that during the time when you're in a forbearance, that the servicer cannot report you as late and ruin your credit. What happens after that? What happens during the forbearance period, or strike that, when the forbearance period is over and now you're in some sort of a repayment plan where they say, if you request and you get it in writing, they say, okay, we're going to take those 3 or 4 or 5 months they didn't make, and we're going to spread them out over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you can get yourself caught up. What if you can't? What if you don't have a rich uncle or parents or a friend that you can borrow money from? And you find yourself in a situation where, as I said, you bought at or above your means, you're able to make your mortgage payment, but you can't add another $1,000 or $1,500 on top of your mortgage payment to get yourself caught up. Then what happens? Well, some of this I don't have the answers to, but you need to get the answers and get them in writing from your servicer. My fear is this, is that if you don't make the payments as prescribed, they can then reject the fact that you didn't keep your agreement and then report you late if you aren't able to make your payment in full as agreed upon. Will that happen? I don't know, but neither do you and neither does anybody else unless it's in writing from the servicer. So yes, you need to contact your servicer, but keep in mind that the servicer represents the investors who bought your loan in the first place. And heck, ironically, that could have been you. You could have been part of a pension, part of a retirement account, part of a mutual fund, or even an insurance policy, and the money manager purchased mortgage-backed securities, which could include your own personal loan. just know this, their responsibility is to the investor, not to you. And you need to make sure that whatever information they give you, they please give it to you in writing before you take action. Now, according to what we've read, and again, everybody needs to confirm everything I'm saying on their own. This is not me giving any legal advice or telling you how to handle your own personal situation. I'm giving you my humble opinion. It's saying that you need to be current through March. So that means come April, obviously, we're April 2nd, you could actually supposedly ask for and miss this payment and miss the ongoing payments. But you need to find out and have in writing from the servicer, how do they handle the payments that you miss? And if you go into a modification, a loan modification, how is that going to be viewed by future lenders when you go to refinance that debt? These are all questions that I have. I lived through this, actually wrote a book. I was commissioned by the Department of Real Estate, State of California, to write a book called Financial Sense to White Picket Fence. It was published by the state, and it's in all 110, or was in all 110 California community colleges as a real estate course, and it was used by many cities in California as their first home buyer course. I bring this up not to impress you, but to impress upon you that this is my bailiwick. I'm an expert at this. And what I found in dealing with many servicers and dealing with many home buyers during the Great Recession, I fear that much will occur again for those people who are dealing with a servicer and not understand that if it's not in writing, it flat doesn't exist. You can't go to the servicer and say, well, I talked to Susie and she told me I didn't have to do this, or Susie told me I could do that. Susie may have worked for the servicer, but unless you can give a date, stamp, and time, and Susie's first name and last name, or an identification number that says who the employee is, or ask if you could record the call so you could actually be able to prove what it is that you're claiming, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get somebody on the other end of the phone to believe what it is that you're saying or take any action. Be prepared to be on hold for anywhere from an hour, sometimes two, to try to get through this process. They're going to be busy, they'll be overwhelmed, they'll be hiring additional people to help them, but this is going to be a very difficult time for everybody involved. So that's it for now. I just want to make sure that you take this information, contact your servicer, ask your questions, identify who it is you're talking to, and get the information back from the servicer in writing before you take any action. Last but not least, HUD-approved counselors can assist you, and there's maybe sometimes a small fee, but I do believe it's nice to have somebody on your side who has really no agenda other than just to assist you. You could say that somebody who is a licensed professional who's for-profit could have an agenda. I understand that. And not everybody is equipped, obviously, to be able to assist. And if they even are equipped and they try to assist, they're creating liability for themselves and the company they represent. So again, my opinion is sometimes it's not a bad idea to invest a few dollars, and you're talking very small dollars, relatively speaking, to have somebody who is a HUD-approved counselor working for a nonprofit approved by HUD to maybe get on the phone with you and talk to the servicer with you. I believe that's probably in your best interest, and frankly, it's what I do or what I recommend for any of my family and friends. So that's it. Hope this helps you. Take care.